All right, today I'm going to share with you 19 different ways or different times that I, as the pastor of the church, let my people down. Ways I failed them in preparing and getting ready for them to come. So thanks for joining us here at the Better Sundays podcast at reachkeep.com, and let's get going. Welcome to the Better Sundays podcast. Focused, practical, and usable advice for church leaders looking to reach new young families and impact their community. Howdy. Mike Holmes here in studio with True Confessions. I want to give you a few stories of things that I have done that let my people know I was not thinking about them, that I was not prepared for them. And over the last several weeks, we've talked about this whole idea of having what we call a preparation environment. It is absolutely difficult, hard work to do. It's probably one of the harder things you'll do as a pastor. In fact, when it comes to, sermonizing and exegeting text and coming up with all that, that's a piece of cake compared to being ready for dozens, if not hundreds of people to walk in the door, and to make sure that you are letting them know that you are expecting them, that you are ready for them. And if you don't let them know you're ready for them, then they think you're not ready for them, and that really hinders a lot of different things. And you can listen to the last several podcasts that we have done here on YouTube, and hopefully you'll kind of get the gist of what we mean by the preparation environment. At our church, we have a little staff room. In our staff room, I pulled this down. We have a little thing here. It says, every Sunday we are expecting guests. And this is just a reminder that we are always ready. Getting ready and doing things and being busy on Saturdays is what makes for great Sundays. In fact, today is a Saturday. We have just concluded a work day. The place was buzzing. We have all sorts of people cleaning and getting ready and mopping and putting away clutter and cleaning out this and preparing for different events that we have coming up. And we are getting ready for guests. And again, busy Saturdays make great Sundays. I'm anticipating an awesome Sunday tomorrow here at Sinclair Baptist Church, and I'm just really look forward to being able to have everything done so that I can talk to the people, I can spend time with the people, I can be ready for them, and I'm not doing those last minute things. So what I wanted to do is give you some of the things I did, and I rattled off, wrote down some of these here. I got 19 different ways, and I rewrote the title several different ways. So the first one I had was 19 ways I've let my people know I was not ready for them. The next one kind of points it a little bit different. 19 ways to stifle attendance, participation, and giving. And you may not be familiar with the word stifle. That's an old-fashioned word, but it just means to hinder. Okay, if you want to hinder your attendance, you want to hinder your giving, you want to hinder any type of participation, volunteerism, those kind of things, just pay attention to these next 19 things. And they're very small, but they set a tone that you're not ready. And when you're not ready, then people are hesitant to be involved, to jump into that fertile soil. You want fertile soil, not a hard rock. Fertile soil, not a hard rock. And when you're not ready, people aren't willing to get involved as much as if you are ready for them. So the last one I wrote down was 19 ways I have been careless. Careless. Now, I'm using this word here, careless. In other words, I cared less than I should have. Instead of being careful, I was careless, okay? I'm not talking about being careless like playing with matches, or that kind of a thing. But all of these are real simple. So I'm going to jump right into them. And thanks for joining us here at the Better Sundays podcast. This is our shorter version podcast. And if this is helpful for you, give us a thumbs up or make sure you take time to subscribe. Some of these we've been guilty of many times, over and over. And you might kind of go, well, those are kind of nitpicky. Well, you know what? People are kind of nitpicky. And they may come and be involved and come to your church out of faithfulness or whatever. But to get that extra mile out of them, sometimes you just got to show that you're really thinking about them. And you don't want to show the opposite, that you weren't thinking about them. And that's really probably the main part here. All right, so let me just rattle through these. Number one, snow shovels in the entry lobby, okay? And what this means is when you walk in our entry lobby, it snows out here a lot, we have snow shovels there because guys have to shovel it. So who's more important, those first-time guests or snow shovel people? Well, the snow shovel people need to put their shovels in a separate place so nobody's tripping on them and kids aren't getting hurt on them or whatever. Went to a church in Nebraska once for a funeral, and they had in the lobby, in the middle of July, just right on the side of the lobby, a giant snowblower. That snowblower was there for one person, okay? And it showed that they cared more about that one person than they cared about the guests. So make sure you don't have stuff just sitting around that shouldn't be there. Just find a place for it, talk about it, figure it out, okay? I mean, if it's actually snowing, that's a different thing. But, you know, if you get snow, 3 times a year, you don't need snow shovels sitting there for 6 months. So, second one. Filthy tops of trash cans. And this we have these little trash cans you push the top in and, like it kind of goes like that. And the tops of those things sometimes get filthy because people throwing in their leftover coffee or donut or whatever. And I just never really talked to the janitorial people and said, you know what, that's kind of gross. And we need to kind of fix that up. It showed I wasn't ready. I'm telling you, if the President of the United States or some senator or whatever, in fact, we have coming up later this summer, we have the governor coming to our little town of 400 to give a speech for this big 100th anniversary of our building and our town, and we will probably have the governor and his wife in our building. Guess what? It's going to be spick and span because we are... Let me get it. Ta-da, expecting guests, okay? We are expecting guests. So make sure things are not filthy. They're all cleaned up. Okay, here's number 3. Sometimes I let special music become less than special, okay? And I'm not the music person. We don't do a lot of music, but we've had times when they weren't ready and they got up there and it's like they're tapping on the microphone and, oh, this microphone goes over there and this one goes over there. And you're like, I just want the special music. I want to have nice music. I don't want them, tuning up their guitar and all sorts of different things there. We want everything to be sharp and rehearsed and ready to go, especially all that microphone kind of stuff. Okay, number 4, I left a window open once on a Sunday because I was working in the auditorium. I came in and that morning it was super cold and our heaters just didn't get caught up for our first service people, and everyone's in like, why is it so cold in here? And it's because I wasn't thinking about them. Last minute things. Go through your building on Saturday night, Saturday late afternoon, whatever it is. Walk through last minute things. All sorts of little things that are your responsibility to make sure those things happen. If you've delegated them and you have good people that follow through, then that's great. But if you have people that haven't followed through and some of that, then hey, it's still your responsibility. If it's a cold auditorium, people aren't going to be comfortable while you're preaching. You weren't thinking of them, and it's going to show. All right, number 5, the wrong dates on bulletins and slides. I have goofed up on this. I'll get to typos here in just a minute, but it's where we've had our bulletin said come on the 5th, and, the slide thing we had said come on the 7th, and we just had the dates messed up, and it means that we really weren't paying attention. Okay, number 6 I wrote is just the word clutter. Clutter. You have to take time. You will die with clutter in your church. I mean, clutter is a nonstop thing in every church because you have lots of volunteers, lots of people, things get set down. Some people don't know what they're supposed to do. They don't necessarily have the authority to put it away or whatever. They're kind of confused, but you need to work on clutter nonstop. Number 7 is the use of what we call pantry illustrations. And I learned this from a friend of mine named Glenn down in Texas. And that is that you have certain illustrations that you kind of keep in your pantry. These are sermon illustrations, and you kind of can pull this one out and use it and pull this one out and use it. And it's not a fresh illustration, but it's an old illustration, and you overuse the same illustration. It means in your message that you didn't take time to really come up with a good, fresh story, illustration, description, whatever it happened to be of that particular point. You just relied on an old one. I have a church I went to, and I've been there probably dozens of times over the years, and I've heard the pastor say on multiple times, give the exact same illustration. And it's an illustration about Christ, and it's very good, and it's pertinent, and there might be some new people there, but you know what? People pick up some of that stuff. So make sure you're not just pulling stuff out of the pantry, but you've got some fresh stuff there. Number 8 is typos and proofing. And this is something that if you have typos and so you invite a visitor and the visitor's sitting next to you and they're looking through and they see a typo, you are embarrassed. You are embarrassed for your secretary. You're embarrassed for whoever did the typo on the bulletin, or if it's on the screen. It's an embarrassing thing, and it shows that you have not taken time to read through and make sure everything is right. And if you're expecting guests, there will be far less typos than when you are, just kind of flippantly throwing things together. So make sure that you do what we call a QA. And a QA is where there's people that are very good at proofreading different words, like the word, through can be spelled this way or that way or whatever, and the there, the there and they can find all that stuff. But quality assurance, or what we call QA, and I worked at a software company for a while, and we had QA, and the QA people, they didn't necessarily look for typos. They looked for all those things that weren't right, like the dates weren't right, or go to page 5, and when you go to page 5, there was nothing there, that kind of stuff. So make sure you take time to make sure the phone numbers are right, or even present. I can't tell you how many times I put something out, a flyer, and didn't have a phone number on it. I've really messed up. It just shows that you don't care. So, all right, number 9, lack of decorations, lack of seasonal decorations or fresh decorations. And some churches are different on some of that, but we like to have some fresh stuff and decorations, for holidays or patriotics or whatever. Those things show that you are thinking about guests. And when you take time to have decorations, that is an excellent, excellent way to create the preparation environment. You could have a birthday party at my house, and I would just have a wonderful, if you had it for me, I'd have a wonderful time, because they go, happy birthday, Pawpaw, and all the kids would, come sit on my lap, my grandkids or whatever, But my wife puts up all these decorations, and she gets balloons, and she has a special cake, and you know what? It makes you feel better. It makes you feel like someone was thinking about you. So make sure that you are not hindering or stifling by having just a blasé looking place all the time. All right, next one, too busy to talk. We're at number 10 if you're taking notes here. Number 10 is where you're too busy to talk. That means that you haven't prepared. And when people are coming into church, when people are leaving church, you need to be ready to talk with them and fellowship with them, answer a few questions, set up appointments if they have longer type questions, that type of stuff. But don't just be way too busy, hobnobbing with the dignitaries or just one set of persons. Try to talk to a lot of people and show that you're there and available. So number 11 is what I call boilerplate notes. In other words, we believe that fill in the blank notes are very important. And one of our most watched podcasts that we have is how to do fill in the blank sermon notes. And so you want to have fill in the blank sermon notes. When you have them, make sure that they are thought out and conceptually better than average, okay? Average, okay, is where they have the notes and then they just hand it to the secretary and say, make some fill in the blanks here, and somebody just goes in and kind of erases the word, so it'd be like if you had a John 3:16, it'd be for God so loved the blank, and they just write the word world in there. That's not like really helping people remember the whole thing. You want to come up with some good sayings. You want to have some short things. You want to put them in boxes. You want to have them highlighted in different way. And again, see our thing on how to do creative fill-in-the-blank notes. We have some good notes. I'll put the link to it in the bottom notes here. But don't just have boilerplate, which that means just sort of always the same kind of fill in the blank notes. Okay. All right. Let's see. Number 12, borrowed illustrations. And again, that's sort of like what we talked about before. They're not fresh. You just kind of like heard one from someone else and you grabbed it and you don't know the details and you kind of like, worked your way through it, but you didn't really use it the right way. So that's just not a good thing. It shows that you're not really paying attention and not really caring. Okay. Number 13. This one here is what I call red meat preaching. Red meat preaching, where you are throwing red meat to the people, and you kind of partway through your sermon, you just got to get them riled up, you got to get them excited, and rather than having a really well thought out point or having a really good illustration or, really having a concise way of kind of thinking of things, you just kind of jump back to some of that pantry type stuff. You pull out some illustrations, it's like, well, bless God, we don't need any of this, blah, blah, blah. And it's like the same thing that they've heard many times. It's given, as they say, giving the dogs the red meat, they're just going to eat it up no matter what. But it's kind of the same old stuff, if you know what I mean. You probably have heard politicians, when we get deep into the political season, and you've heard the same illustration over and over and over because they speak every night at the same place and they give the same illustrations. Politicians might be able to get away with it, but as a pastor, make sure your illustrations are fresh, well thought out, and practical. Okay, let's see, number 14. This is a fill-in-the-blank one, and I have done this many, many times, the right size blanks. So we have we have a blank like this big, and I give them like a whole sentence to put in the blank, okay? We have a little bitty blank, and I give them a great big word, and they can't put it in there. That's just a small little thing, but I do it all the time. I need to make sure the blanks are the right size, okay? Another one here is number 15, poorly timed slides. If you are on doing music by slides or whatever, or you say, now here's my point, or you have something and you like go, hey, you in the back, could you put that slide up? Or you hit it and it's the wrong slide, or it's upside down, or, that kind of stuff. Make sure that your audio-visual stuff is good. And that is, we'll touch on that one a little bit. But poorly timed slides. Number 16, okay? No way to sign up and volunteer. And I've done this many times. It's like, man, we got this really good thing. We're going out on Tuesday and we're going to do it. We need everybody here and da-da-da-da-da. And you need to have some type of device where they're going to, go check in with somebody. They're going to put their name on a piece of paper so that we know they're coming. They're going to put their phone number there. And you just thought of this spur of the moment, and you don't have a way for them to kind of really volunteer smoothly, and not a good thing. So make sure that you take care of that. Number 17, okay, dead markers. All right, this is one I've done. You got your marker. You're going up to the whiteboard if you're doing something like that. This is usually more in a training atmosphere, where you're going to put something on the board and your marker is like, it's bad, it doesn't work. I always test all my markers before I do any training. I scribble on the bottom, make sure they're all working, see which one writes the best, some of that type of stuff. And I know these are small and simple things, and some of you are like, oh, that's really silly if people would leave your church over that. I don't think people are going to leave your church over that, but when you have enough of these piled together, there gets to be, again, this fertile soil starts to get a little harder because they don't want to be involved. Let me give you one more, and then I'll give you an illustration that will probably make this clear. This one's happened. No glasses, no notes, no Bible. Have you ever done this? If you do, leave it in the comments. You probably could say that you've done this before, got up there and your Bible wasn't there, or your notes weren't in the Bible. You had to get a different Bible for some reason, and your notes weren't in there. Or I've done this before. I've got up there, all right, let's get started. We're going to look at this text, and I reach in. It's like, no glasses. It's like, I tell my wife, could you run to my office and grab my glasses? Okay. That's pretty rough as far as preparation and letting people know you're expecting them when you don't have your notes or your Bible or your glasses. And the last one I have, number 19, is audiovisual stuff not fully tested. audio visual stuff not fully tested. And that kind of goes into, the music, the microphones aren't working, and, a couple of the other ones we talked about. But I will give you an example of this. There's a parachurch organization that does some work and that I like to go to their event every year. And I really believe in what they're doing. And I'm not going to name what they are, but they are a nationwide thing. And they do good work, and they do excellent work. And I would love to be involved. But I go to their event every year, and every single year the AV stuff is not working. And the guy's like, well, just a minute, let's get the projector going here. And, and they're trying, and you're just sipping your ice water at the banquet table and kind of waiting. And in a moment, they're going to ask you for money. In a moment, they're going to say, would you support this important work that we do? And I have given them money, and I will probably continue to give them money, but I probably would give them more if they were better prepared. It bugs me, okay? So it becomes that hard bounce-off thing. And for me, I'm passionate about what they do, so I'll probably, whether they're fertile soil or not, I'm going to probably be involved. And you probably have some great people like that whether you are fertile soil or hard soil or a lot of clutter, no decoration, lots of decorations. You got great people that are going to be there. And that's a wonderful thing. But we're really talking about the fringe people, the newer people that come, that haven't been there that long, they're new to Christianity, new to your church or whatever. And when they see that you are fertile and ready for that seed to land in there, and that soil's going to grow them, they're ready to invest, they're ready to put money in, they're ready to put their time, they're ready to bring their kids to your activities. They're ready to, do all those kind of things rather than it's like, I'm not sure if I'm taking my kids over there. He didn't even have his whatever together, that kind of thing. You've probably been to a couple things like that where it's like, I'm not sure if taking my kids there or not. That's a big thing with people. And so I wanted to share these 19 ways that I have goofed up. I probably could give you another 1,900, okay, because I've been in this business for a long time. But take time to get ready and be expecting guests. Do everything you can and teach your people that we have guests that are coming. We want to be ready. Our Sunday school classrooms are ready. The whiteboards are there and everything's done and, that kind of stuff. Make sure that you're ready, that nobody walks in and goes, well, why is that bulletin board blank? It's got big bulletin boards. Put something on them, that kind of stuff. So make sure you are ready. So this is sort of my goof ups. I'm sure you probably have some. If you'd like to share some of those in the comments, that would be great. If this has been helpful to you, please share this with somebody. You can hit the share button if you're on YouTube, the little share button there, and it will give you a way to put it on Facebook or, email it to somebody. And also just take time to subscribe. When you do that, it really is going to put you in sync with the YouTube algorithm and the Facebook algorithm, whatever, and it's going to help you be better. We all listen to a lot of news and watch a lot of sports, but we need to take time to sharpen our axe, and that's what we're trying to do here at reachkeep.com. So we're so grateful to have you as our friends, and if you are interested in us being involved and helping you personally, one-on-one as a coach, you can go to reachkeep.com/coach, and there's some contact information there. It tells a little bit about what we're doing. I will put the email address here on the bottom, which is info@reachkeep.com, and we'd love to help you out. Spent a lot of time with pastors just going through this kind of stuff and helping them, just kind of an extra set of eyes, helping them with some of their things. So if we can be a blessing, let us know. But other than that, we appreciate you being with us here at the Better Sundays podcast at reachkeep.com.